During committee meeting after 3, I think, quite intensive days of training, and all of you, except Danny, have been part of this meeting already. With a view of that, with a view of having had already quite exhaustive and interesting and intense week, and with a view that also many things which are on our agenda have already been addressed in the meeting itself, and with the view that all of our information as far as the validation is concerned, this is not something you do in half an hour at the end of a long training day. But I think still, you know, the general 3-step procedure is a good one. You received now, first step 1, you received the reference system, you find basic information, a few PowerPoint presentations and a video on the Mahara. Then you experiment yourself, which is quite safe. Before you go to your students, you do it yourself. So you get the first experience, the first taste of the system, and then early next year there will be more information on in the training pack, and an online session also on it. So I think after that this should be quite possible. And if you still find the time, you can maybe do this little slot in the afternoon
Yes.
demonstrating.
For me, this was.
It's really to bring in, you know, new forms of entrepreneurial learning, and to give tools for enhancing students' mindset, entrepreneurial mindset. And so I think there are more tools for enhancing this reflection process and for triggering something off in the individual students, rather than having a sort of a great certificate like the European computer driving license, the entrepreneurship driving license, which is so I think it would be also important and a good thing, but from my understanding, this is not the main focus of the project.
There is one university in Finland that does validating, and the way that they promote it is that in the end all the students have to open their own business, and some of them have been very successful, and that puts their credibility forward. So maybe this would be something that we can think about. And it's too early, I know, to talk about this, but just wanted to bring it up.
Maybe this is a new project you want to coordinate as a follow-up.
Okay.
This is Rebus too.
Yeah, in a way, I think this would be a very high expectation that we also, you know, solve this in this one project. It's
But the level 5 system is a good starting point for that, because it's flexible. You can put it to your own institution, to your own class, and to your own mindset you have to foster. So and that's a good thing. That's a good news behind the bad news. So.
Yeah. And it provides a very detailed description through the levels, and also a visualization of this. So I think this is already quite something, and also to promote and to put outside.
So maybe we can start with accountability. So then we have to check what is the main topic of your course. What do you want to foster? What do you want to teach? And we need this description very clearly to put it in the system. And that is the first step to have the system more accountable. And the next step maybe could be the credibility.
Yes. Yeah. I think I like your question very much because it's so complex. But I think if you divide it in several parts, maybe we can also manage it in a way. Because you're absolutely right. One aspect is accountability. Let's say that we prove that it is in what we promised.
Yes.
And that's what I meant as well. This is the teaching approach, and this is maybe the quality criteria in the whole thing, including the assessment and the documentation of skills and competences, so that he or she can show really what she has learned, how her knowledge and skills and attitudes really developed. This is the accountability not only comes through the certificate, but also what we discussed this morning, maybe also the connection to pieces of work that they have opportunities to show what you have learned in a way. The last this last aspect that we can suppose you would get more students if you say if this would become a quality sign, and this is the aspect that I like very, and this is certainly
the system. You had a chance to have a look at what is there. I think that from my perspective, the next step now is really to have a more thorough look also into the Moodle courses which have been prepared now from our side. So Tim is Christoph we're working on that. So this was now the main input from, let's say, the EU side of the partnership to provide the electronic system, the platform, and to provide the repository of Moodle materials which are available. And now I think the step for you is, as I said before, to really go into more depth and to have a thorough look at them and take what you think is helpful for organizing your own programs. And here comes in also a part of Boris' question. In the proposal, it says that each of you non-EU partners will produce at least 2 learning modules. And at the end of the day, at the end of the project, you will have to be in a position to point out at least these 2 modules. I think this is will not be a big problem, because you need to build your own programs anyway. You need to contextualize the Moodle content, add things, go into more depth, adapt them to the specific needs to your students, maybe add other elements you think are necessary. And as we discussed before, and Altin rightly pointed out, maybe to go back more precisely on the top 5 competences areas we identified in the research. So I just wanted to make this point here at this stage, that you have to create something by yourself, and it needs to be shown at the end of the project. And the place also where you document it is the student section of the Moodle, where you create your, where you put the stuff you will teach to your students.
As far as I remember, I don't remember clearly, but I think 60 euros per day for the stay and accommodation costs.
Yes,
so my proposal to you is to do the same thing as we do here in Sarajevo. We cannot find absolutely any air company that will be able to send our students for 275 euros from Sarajevo to Palermo. It's impossible. So what we are going to do is, probably, we will rent a bus to send them somewhere, to Trieste, or to Dubrovnik, or to Bar, or to Kotor, or to Podgorica, where the air ticket will be eligible, will be payable with the rest of the cost per student. So find a way, find a cheap way. For you, I think it's relatively simple, German. Rent a minibus.
Yes.
And send a minibus with all 14 students directly to Graz.
Yes.
I'm quite sure that it costs the money on that.
Branko, I think the Professor Jevdet was trying to say something else. Because the second installment comes in July or August, but the meeting to Graz will be in June. Before we get the second installment, there will be no money to pay the students and for their travels. Therefore, the university has to pay. And in this case, University of Gilan doesn't have money to pay in advance the students and then get the money from Rebus. Was that
yes, but that's not question for myself, that's question for the European Commission, because they said that they are doing the reimbursement of the cost. And reimbursement means that you first spend your money and then you get it back. And not that you get the money for everything in advance, and then later on that you will claim that it's really true that you spent it. So this is something that I can't really do. I also don't have the money to give to any university that doesn't have its own. My university also doesn't have any extra money, so we will have to deal with it as good as we can. what we can only do is to try to speed up the process of the next payment and the process of reporting. That's, if you see anything else I will do, please propose myself even. Regarding the software doesn't really travel by truck. So the software is not going to reach any customs and borders, and you can even hide that you receive this software, but you need to add the software into your fixed assets books. You need to record the software there. So I think that you will also, all 9 of you, including Russian partners, will need to go for the procedure for the customs and VAT exemptions